As investigation is underway in the biggest haul of oxygen concentrators recovered from restaurants at the posh Khanna market in Lodi colony, a London link has now emerged in the black marketing of oxygen concentrators. Owner of Matrix Cellular Services, Gagan Duggal, who is based in London, has now been identified as alleged mastermind of the nexus here. Here's our top story.
$3 per person मैं खान मार्केट वालों को दे सकता हूं उनके घर की यूज के लिए.
Listen to one of the kingpin in the Khan market O2 concentrator scam. Biggest black marketing haul this year. Hundreds of oxygen concentrators recovered from posh Khan market. High-profile personalities looting the vulnerable amid the pandemic. 4 arrested, but hunt for key accused Navneet Kalra is still on. As the probe deepens and case unravels, a London link has now emerged. While Delhi Crime Branch is probing the matter, a new name, Gagan Duggal, who is a London-based businessman, has surfaced. Duggal is the owner of Matrix Cellular Services, the company which allegedly procured concentrators from China and Hong Kong, which have now been seized by Delhi police. Duggal's name surfaced after police arrested Matrix CEO and chartered accountant Gaurav Khanna, who allegedly was responsible for procuring the oxygen units and deciding the cost at which they will be sold. According to the police, the concentrators were purchased for 16,000 to 20,000 and sold between 50 to 70,000.
Town Hall and Khan Chacha are two famous landmarks in Delhi's posh Khan market, but now these places are under scanner of Delhi police for black marketing and hoardings of oxygen concentrators. The Delhi police believes that Navneet Kalra was being helped by his friend Gagan Duggal, who stays in London and who owns Matrix Cellular Services. Now Gagan Duggal and Navneet Kalra were exporting these oxygen concentrators from foreign countries to India, and Navneet Kalra was selling these oxygen concentrators at a very high price. Delhi police also claims that this is a case of black marketing and hoarding of essential items, especially at a time when the national capital was dying due to lack of oxygen. Patients were dying, and this person was hoarding and black marketing these oxygen concentrators, which could have saved someone's life.
Under fire, Matrix Cellular Services has moved Delhi High Court and demanded back the concentrators seized by the cops. The company has alleged witch hunt by Delhi police and said that the masks, oximeters, sanitization equipment and oxygen concentrators were procured as part of company's corporate social responsibility policy. According to the company, the life-saving machines were kept at a centralized location for easy distribution. This even as an audio clip of Navneet Kalra, the owner of Khan Chacha and other restaurants in Khan market, has gone viral, where allegedly he is making a sales pitch to his Khan market friends.
मैंने सारी डिटेल आपको सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी मैसेज में भेजी हुई है. कौन सा मॉडल है, क्या है. एक मशीन पर पर्सन मैं खान मार्केट वालों को दे सकता हूं उनके घर की यूज के लिए. और अगर किसी को भी चाहिए तो पेमेंट डिटेल्स मेरे पास मैक्सिमम 3 बजे तक भेज देंगे, तो वो मशीन ब्लॉक होंगी. 3 बजे के बाद मेरी मशीन सारी खत्म हो रही है, तो मैं खान मार्केट फ्रेंड्स को भी नहीं अलॉट कर पाऊंगा.
The case has now reached the Delhi High Court, which will hear the matter on Monday.
The Delhi police has searched multiple places in Delhi NCR region to arrest Navneet Kalra, who is still absconding. The Delhi police also claims that this racket of black marketing and hoarding of oxygen concentrator may be much bigger than what it appears as of now. With camera person Satyendra Bhatti, this is Manish Pandey in Delhi for India Today.
And I spoke on this to entrepreneur Soni Walia, who's in the Delhi social circles, who said that the guilty must be punished. Navneet Kalra hoarding oxygen concentrators at a time of a pandemic really has disturbed the entire Delhi society. In fact, he was in the high circles. Within the circles, he has promoted the oxygen concentrators in the name of philanthropy, donning a charitable or a philanthropic hat. He has sold oxygen concentrators, possibly for a higher price. I have with me joining us Soni Walia, who's called this out very specifically. Soni, thank you very much for joining us. Soni is an entrepreneur. He's known Navneet Kalra as well. Soni, we know that you have called him out. You have written on your social media platforms and for speaking up. You've received several threat calls, we believe.
Thank you so much, Navila ji, for having me on the platform. I know Navneet, yes, but I have not called him out or any individual or restaurant. I have written on my platform what I felt was the need of the hour. And the need of the hour is that I have seen in the past that most of the restaurant owners or big businessmen get away by framing their managers. And I just asked a question that are owners accountable to anything that goes on in their premises? And I got close to 400 comments under my post and quite a few calls requesting me, asking me to take it down.
But why did they ask you to take it down, Mr. Walia?
Maybe well-wishers of people who are concerned. I have no idea. I cannot confirm that it was Navneet who was involved or whether he's guilty or not, because I'm neither the investigative agency nor the judiciary.
Yeah, but what kind of threat did you receive?
People telling me to put it down or else, and whatever. I don't want to get into those details, and I don't know who they came from or what they are, and I don't want to get into that debate. But my specific debate on my platform, which is Gourmet Planet, was that is it right for the owners to push the buck to their managers and not be accountable? And that was a very simple, innocent question that I got, which generated like a storm, actually, close to 400 comments in less than 24 hours. So,
no, but this is definitely ruffled feathers, undoubtedly. Navneet Kalra, at his restaurant, which only has food house license, has now hoarded medical equipment and to the tune of 500 oxygen concentrators. What we believe is that many of these oxygen concentrators may not even be of graded value. It was a Chinese mal, many of them not working is what the complaints that we saw. At a time of a pandemic, first of all, hospitals were grappling. They wanted oxygen supplies at the earliest. And here's a man who was hoarding it in his restaurant. Your view on that as part of being in the society, how do you look at it?
Anybody, and I'm not taking names, anybody who is hoarding at a time like this is unpardonable. I'm sorry. I belong to a culture where seva is what we've been brought up in, and I expect people in our society, our peers, our friends, people we know to do the same. But also at the same time, if somebody is doing a business, there's nothing wrong in doing that business. Like I said, I cannot get into the legality of Navila ji of this matter, but I wouldn't do it. But I can't stand in judgment for anybody else.
Well, you do know that the circles are, in fact, that message where he was selling oxygen concentrators, it was spread across all social media groups, and that's how the word spread. And he seemed to have quite a network and sold it for 5 times the price. That's what's believed. But he claims in his defense that this is, again, of course, I understand that you don't want to specifically speak of him, but he claims that this is just business. What kind of business is this in the time of a pandemic?
Like I said, I don't endorse it. I don't subscribe to it. But each to their own. I am not in a position to comment on his behalf or why he's doing it, or if he's doing it at all. To be fair, I don't want to be a person to try him out.
What are your friends saying, Mr. Walia? What are the people around the circles?
They all have the same view, that nobody should make unnecessary profit out of the suffering which are going on these days. I mean, what is happening is visible to everybody on television. It's sad. We have to do our bit to ease the pain, not to, And for all you know, he was trying to ease the pain. Navila ji, I'm sorry, I cannot, blame him without knowing the facts. We don't know.
Well, an FIR has been filed against him. He was hoarding essential commodity, and as per the police, there is, he may have been philanthropic. He may have given it away 1 or 2 for free, or must have helped someone in need. But there were that many more that were hoarded, and 500 concentrators hoarding it doesn't seem like it was of good intention.
I just sincerely hope that our investigative agencies just for once, do a good job, come out with the truth. If the person is guilty, punish him. But don't speculate on things that we don't know.
All right. This is no speculation, Mr. Walia. Let me remind you again that this is a serious case. The man is on the run. He's absconding and he has hoarded oxygen concentrators, sold it for a much higher price. No license, no bills. This is illegal. And
then he must be punished. He must be punished. There is no two ways about it. Whether I know him personally, socially, friend, no friend, but anyone who does it and is convicted and is proven has to pay for it and has to be punished. There are no two ways about it.
All right. Mr. Walia, it appears that the Delhi social circles are of the same view. I've heard many of them, seen social media posts there slamming Navneet and those who are involved in this scam. Thank you very much, however, for speaking up and taking a stand. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Now, in the second wave, this is, of course, the most important life-saving machine, oxygen concentrators. Unfortunately, we hear that the concentrators that were sold were mostly of Chinese make and was of cheap quality, wasn't even useful to many people who bought it for a premium price. But nonetheless, this is a concentrator, an oxygen concentrator that is much in need in the country today. My colleague Gaurav Sawant explains to us how really an oxygen concentrator works and its importance.
This is an oxygen concentrator, much in demand these days. This is a 5-litre machine. This comes with a 2-year warranty. Let's unbox this machine and show you what the oxygen concentrator is and what it's capable of. So now when you take a look at this machine, read the documents very carefully. Let's now unbox this machine for you. It comes with the cannula and the humidifier. Let's take out the machine. It's about 19.5 kgs in weight. So you need perhaps 2 people to operate it. Rather simple to unbox and operate. The electricity cable around it, connect it to the power point. There is also a cable underneath. You need to cut that. That's for the compressor, not to move in transportation. I've cut that. Read the documents very carefully. The humidifier also has the minimum and maximum limit of how much water does the humidifier, how much water it should have. Let me now fill this. So this is minimum, this is maximum. This is minimum. I filled it just a little below the maximum mark. Then tighten it carefully, see water doesn't slip, water doesn't come out of it. This is the nozzle. This is where the nozzle is supposed to be connected. You connect that. Again, make sure you're connecting it properly, no leaks. When you've checked it's been done, then you bring out the cannula. 2 sides to it. One side goes in here. And then you switch it on. It's good to go. The machine comes with a display. It's at normal right now. This lever, of course, tells you this knob at what level you want the oxygen. Your doctor will tell you how much is required. This is 5 liters. This is the maximum. You can keep taking it down to 4, 3, 2, 1. Also comes with, it's functioning normally. It's producing oxygen at the moment. And then the other side, you can just put this in your nostril and you can start breathing. This, as many say, is truly a lifesaver.
Now, as India grapples with the second wave of COVID-19 crisis, the Indian Air Force has increased their efforts to expedite the supply of medical oxygen here. India's big toy C-17 Globemaster has conducted 400 sorties within the country to meet the demand. Let's take a look at this special report.
Past midnight, but Hindon Air Base near Delhi is buzzing with activity. The massive heavy lift C-17 transport aircraft of the Indian Air Force touches down and takes off in quick frequency, all carrying COVID relief materials. The jumbo jets can airlift heavy oxygen containers and oxygen generators. One such flight from Israel is carrying 3 oxygen generators and cartons of 360 oxygen concentrators.
There is hectic activity here as one Indian Air Force transport aircraft has just landed from Israel carrying relief material. And what we are seeing in these big aircraft are oxygen generation plants. These plants are extremely important for hospitals where they can be installed.
This was the first Indian Air Force flight, but won't be the last, as Israel will be sending in more material, including oxygen containers.
There are 3 large oxygen generators in here, which will supply oxygen for the patients of 3 hospitals. And in addition, there are 4 pallets full of oxygen concentrators and other equipment, which will also help Indian patients. And we're very happy that this is the way our friendship with Indians, the Indian people and the Indian government is. That it's such a close and good friendship.
Till May the 7th, C-17 aircraft has conducted 400 sorties from within the country, including sorties to airlift 252 oxygen tankers with total capacity of 4,904 metric tons. The operation started in mid-April and have picked up pace over the last 20 days. Indian Air Force aircraft also conducted 59 international sorties to airlift 72 cryogenic oxygen storage containers with 1,233 metric ton capacity, along with 1,252 empty oxygen cylinders. The containers and cylinders are procured from Dubai, Bangkok, UK, Germany, Belgium, Australia, Israel and Singapore.
In days to come, these operations will continue as the Indian Air Force, along with the Indian Navy, is on a mission to make sure India is COVID-free. With camera person Anil Jaiswal from the Hindan Air Base in Ghaziabad, Abhishek Bhalla for India Today.
Now, after election, COVID cases have now exploded in Bengal. My colleague Ashutosh Mishra brings you this ground report from Asansol, where patients are running from pillar to post for beds. Vaccination centres are running out of jabs. Let's take a look.
A tenuous 8-phase polls, massive road shows and rallies, Bengal's post-poll COVID surge was already predicted. With a peak in cases, the state is now grappling to cope up. Hospitals in West Bengal's Asansol are ill-equipped and are unable to treat its COVID patients. This is HLG, the biggest private hospital in the region. The hospital does not have enough beds to accommodate the incoming patients and have put out a board saying that beds are not available.
The top private hospitals in Asansol are also running out of oxygen bed and isolation bed. Clearly, these notices have been pasted right outside here. No isolation bed available. Also, the biggest concern is now that is coming out that there are also the vaccination affected. These notices which are pasted outside at the private hospital, no vaccination for today. And this has been affected for last few days. This is now going to be a bigger challenge for the state like West Bengal, which is going to be an epicenter for the COVID, particularly post-poll scenario.
The patients are being turned away from another private hospital, CLG. Partho Das has been relentlessly searching for a bed, but no ICU beds are available.
तो अभी कहाँ से आप लोग कहाँ से रहे हैं? यहीं आसनसोल के ही हैं। कहाँ कितने हॉस्पिटल गए थे?
4-5 हॉस्पिटल गए,
कहीं नहीं मिला।
कहीं नहीं।
वो सरकारी वाला जो है गवर्नमेंट हॉस्पिटल
जा रहे उसी में।
अब उसी में लास्ट जा रहे।
With the influx in COVID cases, Asansol is also fighting a major oxygen crunch.
this time is only oxygen that is required. So every patients that are coming, they are on the oxygen support.
How many patients you have to turn away every day?
It's at least 7-8 patients. More than that, because mainly they are coming for the ventilation support.
The state's vaccination drive is also very grim. With no supplies, jab seekers are being turned away. Vaccination drive at ESIC hospital has been suspended since 7 days as there are no supplies. Mr. A. Chatterjee has been visiting the ESIC hospital every day since last week to get his second dose.
मैं आज भी आ चुका हूँ, लेकिन आज भी बोला कि वैक्सीन है नहीं, और ये मेरा चौथी दफ़ा या पांचवी दफ़ा है कि मैं यहाँ से घूम के जा रहा हूँ, और मेरा फर्स्ट डोज यहीं पर लगा है, ये इट इज़ ऑलमोस्ट 50 डेज.
कितने दिन से आप आ रहे हैं जब वैक्सीन नहीं मिल रही है?
ये मैं लास्ट फ्राइडे में भी आया था और मंडे ट्यूसडे दोनों दिन आया था. वो मुझे बोला कि आएगा, लेकिन वैक्सीन आया नहीं.
Even though the state government has imposed fresh restrictions with suspending movements of local train and limiting public gatherings, markets in Asansol are overcrowded with people flouting all possible COVID norms.
Due to surge in the COVID cases, the biggest private hospitals are running out of beds and oxygen beds. There are crowd in the markets despite restrictions, but moreover, the biggest battle against this pandemic and the cure is vaccination. Be it the private hospitals or even the government care centers, they all are running out of vaccines, and the banners, posters have been posted out right outside the hospitals, no vaccine available. And this now raises the question on the efficiency and how the Bengal is going to fight against COVID-19. And this is just picture in Asansol.
Patients are running from pillar to post, searching for hospital beds, oxygen cylinders, and even vaccines. But rampant violation of COVID rules in the state is making things worse.
Experts did warn about the consequences of violating social distancing norms and other COVID safety norms during the long phase West Bengal Assembly elections. Now the elections are over and impact is quite visible. In the cities like Asansol, there is crisis of oxygen bed. The demand of oxygen have gone 3 times higher. There is oxygen crisis and vaccination disruption. That's clearly a matter of concern for this state. And moreover, it is the public who's also ignorant about the safety rules. Situation really need to be taken care as soon as possible. It is alarming here in Asansol. Bringing you this ground report from West Bengal's Asansol with Sanjay Kumar, this is Ashutosh Mishra.